So it's been a while. Mental health, real life issues, that kind of thing. Anyway, welcome back to Behind the Screen. For those who don't know, this is it says right here, but content creation stream, and also general GM tips. This is episode 69, which some people would say is a nice number to return to the show on. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that I'm back on my schedule, but that depends on brain stuff and life. But this is episode 69, season 8, episode 6 of season 8. Something a little different today, but before I explain all of that, standard disclaimer: I don't speak for Onyx Path, nor is this project official material. Just realised I can't see chat. All views and opinions expressed are my own, and this material will be available to buy on Canvas Miner when finished, obviously. I'm merely a grateful fan with a platform that Onyx Path keep allowing to do this show. Heck yes. I am disabled, I do experience muscle spasms, and they can affect any muscle group in my body, so I can slur my speech, I can stammer quite badly sometimes, and I'm having a real bad time of that right now, so I apologise. We'll push on through together. If it becomes too bad, I'll just end the stream early, or I'll cover the webcam and try to push through it that way. But I do also struggle with multiple trains of thought, so I'll try to finish one before going on to the next. And if you raise any relevant points in chat, I will acknowledge that I've seen them if I don't immediately get around to them. But I am monitoring chat. I can see chat at all times. I am a mod, so behave. And we'll get started proper. Yes, so, A Ball to Die For. You know what, let's skip that for a moment. We'll leave that for a moment. We'll do the standard kind of Onyx Path thing first. I say standard Onyx Path thing. This is the only show that does it. But the best place to catch up with Onyx Path news is the Monday meeting notes. They go live every Monday evening Eastern. I've shared the link in chat. Big things to note right now is that there is a huge discussion, multiple weeks long at this point, in the comments section about the kind of urban dark fantasy horror game that Onyx Path should make, that they own, rather than Chronicles of Darkness, which they license from Paradox. There's nothing confirmed. This is just purely theoretical, or hypothetical, or both. But it's just stuff that people are talking about, and the conversation that is being had between all of the fans in the comment section. If you have any thoughts on that, of course, that's what the comment section is there for. That's what that conversation is happening for. Other things, last week the Trinity Continuum Players Guide finished crowdfunding on Backer Kit. That looks great, so if you missed out on that, I assume they'll have late pledges at some point within the foreseeable future, but not next couple of weeks at the very least. So keep an eye on that news. The next crowdfunding campaign will be next month. It'll be on Kickstarter, theoretically, hopefully, and it will be They Came From ... They have assured us that, unlike They Came From Classified, that is not the name of the game. But who knows? Onyx Path do like bamboozling us. But that will be in May. And the Kickstarter, there is a warning that the Kickstarter will be a bit unusual, so we'll have to see what is happening with that. The forum and the website will be disrupted over the coming weekend as they continue to tweak the setup, but at a time that will affect the least number of people possible. This week is the GAMA trade show. IPR and Studio 2, who are responsible for the physical print versions of a variety of Onyx Path rulebooks, have booths there with Onyx Path books in stock and the Story Path Ultra brochure. So if you're at the GAMA trade show, or Gamma, I don't know, swing by, say hi, maybe look at getting books, check out the Story Path Ultra stuff. And then this Friday, as it is the last Friday of the month over at Start Playing Games, it is Onyx Path Friday Game Night, highlighting They Came From, although any Onyx Path line is eligible. And if you are interested in that after this show, and it's not immediately afterwards, it is at 5 p.m. Eastern, But Travis, Plastic Age Plays, will be on the Twitch channel talking to Devon from Start Playing to demonstrate how to set up a game for the game night, so that if you want to take part as a storyteller, story guide, GM, what have you, in future Onyx Path Friday night game nights at Start Playing, you'll be able to. A warning, a lot of games on Start Playing should be a fun time. Hopefully it is. Also, welcome, Travis. Fun, even. Yeah, I mean, people might be playing Beneath the Sea, so it will be a fun time. A quick warning, a fair number of games on Start Playing are paid games, so if you have strong feelings about that, please keep them to yourself, or discuss it in a civil manner, although the Onyx Path Discord server does get that conversation topic quite often, so maybe find somewhere else to talk about it, because there's only so many times people can have the same conversation. Again, I don't work for Onyx Path. I can't really tell you what to do. It's just kind of a good manners thing. And then this Friday on the Pathcast, Danielle and Dixie will be talking to Devon about Start Playing as well. So a lot of involvement from Start Playing this week. Also, please note that there is a until April the 30th, any short videos that are uploaded with the hashtag OnyxPath and the name of the game being shown off, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, I assume, whatever, instructional, useful, silly, parody, just anecdotal, they will be entered into a competition to win $150 worth of Onyx Path books. And you have until the 30th, that is 5 days from now, and there is... oh, hey, so I have a link to a form. Am I okay to share that, Travis? Because it's not in the Monday meeting notes. It's not on the Monday meeting notes page, but it was in the email you sent around to all the showrunners. I'll wait on confirmation that I can share the link before doing that. Then there's some goopy artwork. And then there is a Badana Group is running a fundraiser for Give Local. Yeah, the form link. It's not in the Monday meeting notes. Cool. So if you are interested in that, the form link is there. At least that's the one that was in the email. I haven't actually clicked it because I have no stakes in it. I don't do short videos. I don't have the time. More than anything. Yes, Badana Group are running a fundraiser, Give Local York, May 4th to May 5th. And there is a fundraising link in the Monday meeting notes that will take you to that. I've touched on They Came From, I've touched on the Pathcast. On the channel this week, we have this show, obviously. 5 PM today, all these times are in Eastern. 5 PM today, we've got Start Playing's game night set up. Friday 2 PM, Hunt of the Vigil, Cinder and Soot. Friday 9 PM, Mummy the Curse, Oceans of Eternity. And then Monday at 5 PM, the beginner's guide is tackling They Came From Beneath the Sea. So if you're interested in any of that good stuff, please do swing by the channel. If you are more into YouTube content and on Twitch media, a new series has begun on the subject of signed role-playing games, apparently, of the signed role-playing game, run by Asteronomous, about science stories, starting with those of Succubi, and that, as ever, is linked in the Monday meeting notes. Releasing this week, Don't Open the Gates by Kim Godwin, a graveyard-based thing for They Came From Beyond the Grave. Another taste of it to round out your collection. Convention notices. I mentioned GAMA trade show, but the big news is that Onyx Path Virtual Con is happening again this year, June 16th to 18th. More news to come with multiple exclamation marks, which Terry Pratchett would say is the sign of an unsound mind, but is more just, I assume, Rich being extremely excited about Onyx Path Virtual Con, and who can really blame him? It's a fantastic time by all accounts. The March roundup obviously is there. We'll be looking forward to the April roundup soon, but I mean, all of this is obviously completely like haven't done this since April, so things have moved since then. Obviously, things don't not move, even though I'm not here. But in red lines, we've got the Ether Player's Guide, and they came from the Cyclops' Cave. They came from Witchford Academy, which is a magic school supplement for They Came from the Cyclops' Cave, which is a fantasy movie version of They Came from rules. And it's apparently trucking along. They Came From, ... question mark, is in editing, in art direction, Exalted Third, 8 directions, TCF, Cyclops Cave, and Classified, which is how much Onyx Path believe in the Cyclops Cave. It's not even out to the public yet, and supplements are already being written for it. Obviously, the TCF Kickstarters in our direction, Scion Once and Future, and TC Assassins VTT Adventure. However, going back to the TCF ... question mark, we have been teased. They're waiting for a final cover, Wild West PCs 2, and the Splat Finals. Make of that what you will. In layout, Mage of the Awakening, Temple of the Pentacle, Exalted 3rd Edition, Crucible of Legends, Werewolf 20th, House of the Apocalypse, and Hunter of the Vigil, Tending the Flame. In proofing, Apocalyptic Record. In indexing, Exalted Essence, which is a beast of a book, and I do not envy the poor indexer, but it is a highly, highly skilled profession. And then at press, Trinity Continuum Adventure, Mage 20th Victorian Age, Mage 20th Victorian Age Scream, Cyan Dragon Screen, Cyan Dragon, Cyan Master of the Mythos and Screen, Storypath Ultra Brochure is at the trade show. They came from Taste of It compilation, Exalted 3rd Edition Surface Truths, Scarred Lands, Vigil Watch, Kelder Mountains, Trinity Continuum, Stampede of Justice, Adventure, Jumpstart, and the aforementioned Tasty Bit. And the reason to celebrate yesterday, Fall of Troy. There you go. Many, 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 many umpteen years ago, the Fall of Troy. And if you missed any of that, I will, of course, do my hurried recap at the end of the show. I'm going to hydrate, check my notes. Okay. My notes are in order. So, yes, you'll notice that I'm not creating a life on the road. There's a reason for that. Although there's 2 reasons. One, I think I mentioned this the last stream I did. That there's actually already a book on Canis Minor called Life on the Road. So I need to rename it pretty quickly, but you know, soonish. So that's awkward. But more importantly, for the Realms of Pugmire, which is the 2nd edition of the Pugmire rule set Kickstarter, I ran an actual play to like. Here are the playtest rules. Make of them what you will. It's all up on YouTube, including Session 0 and an epilogue. There is the link to the actual play if you do want to go and watch it. And I didn't think anything of it. I was like, I've got these notes. I wrote them up for the actual play. And then I was like, it's nice to not write something with an eye towards commercializing it for once. To making money off of it. Except last week someone asked if there was any notes on A Ball to Die For. And I was like, I have those notes. I guess I'm putting them on Canis Minor now. It'll be pay what you want, don't worry. You'll never have to pay for these, unless you want to. But there we go. So that's what A Ball to Die For is. It's just a short 4, technically, session limited series with a Session 0 as well. Set in Houndton, because I wanted to be out of the city of Pugmire. So what we're doing today is a bit weird. I don't know how it's going to go. I don't know how many streams it's going to take me to massage these notes into anything resembling something that I'm comfortable for people to use. Although, like, most of it's already written, so I'm hoping not more than 2 or 3 weeks. But what we have is A Ball to Die For. Now, I can't state enough that the adventure as it exists would not be what it is without the players. During Session 0, I asked them what kind of game they wanted to play, and when I set up the Discord server for us to all kind of discuss stuff off stream, it kind of resembled like a real... I put, Realms of Pugmire, actual play, so ROPAP, and someone read it as ROHP, Real Housewives of Pugmire, so that was a joke, and then they actually wanted to play a kind of Real Housewives of Pugmire game, so that's how players can, directly impact things. But just as a general thing. I don't know when I'm going to actually get to my notes, because there's some stuff I'd like to talk about before then. That's just like GM tip side of things, and like if you're planning on getting into actual plays yourself. Real Housewives of Pugmire is a beautiful concept. It is, and I'd love to do more with it, which is why I kept my notes. And I mean, you can see right now how detailed they are. You can see how many NPCs I created, and that's just the first 2 pages. There's more. I would like to do more with the concept. So if I do get to run another actual play, I know when the game comes out, maybe we'll return to Hounton and deal with more Real Housewives gossip and scandal. But yes, something that this is more just general to actual to limited run games more than anything, or like if you're writing a convention game.
And by the way, if you are interested, historically, you could totally set up a game on Start Playing Games for Onyx Path Virtual Con and maybe make a small amount of money while you're doing it. So just bear that in mind while I'm talking about this.
Anyway, that was weird. Convention games, just one-shots that have to be one session for time reasons, that kind of thing. In a game system that isn't necessarily limited to one session, because like one-page RPGs, while you can stretch them out, do kind of benefit from shorter playtimes. So obviously, we're looking at Pugmire specifically here, but anything that is more designed for long-form storytelling, this will apply to as well. In my experience, and your mileage may vary, your experience may differ, but certainly in my experience, you can. I tend to run for like 2.5, 3.5 hour sessions, and in my experience, you'll get through 3 scenes at the most in that time. Obviously, if you're going to do some combat, that's different. That depending on the game, anyway, that might eat up your entire scene budget, so to speak. But if you're pressed for time, you need to get really good at writing a 3-scene, game, story, adventure, what have you. If you are not pressed to, if you're not limited to a single session, still as a rule of thumb, 3 scenes works. And if you do want to stick to kind of established literary tropes, it allows you to have an Act 1, an Act 2, and an Act 3 of the session. You should not always end on an Act 3, where kind of that session is almost self-contained. Sometimes it's fun to leave it on a cliffhanger, particularly if you know that you're going to be coming back to it really quickly. Or if you are doing actual plays, obviously if you leave things on cliffhangers more often than leaving scenes resolved. Because, yes, by cliffhanger, I don't mean like shock twist. I mean more like leaving the scene unresolved. Just finding a natural breakpoint in the scene and then returning to that scene next time. Not just kind of, and they fall over a cliff and we'll come back next time. I mean, you can. I'm not saying you can't. That certainly works for like hiatuses and things. But if you are running out of time, it's always worth finding that kind of sweet spot of there's tension in the scene, it's building to something, but we're out of time. Next time we'll find out what that tension is and we'll resolve it before moving on to the next scene. And again, I cannot stress enough, this is just subjective opinion. This is my own experience, and this is how I approach things. Your approach will vary. Necessarily, you have a different lived experience to me. It's just kind of trends, rule of thumb, etc. So when I was figuring this whole actual play thing out, I was very aware that I had a time limit because one of the players told me that he had a time limit. And after that point, he wouldn't be able to attend the sessions anymore. So I was like, okay, we should probably not be playing at that point still. And obviously I wanted to tie it in with the Kickstarter and not run too long past the end of the Kickstarter, because it'd be like, hey, we're playing a game that you can't, actually support or buy anytime soon. So, yeah, long, rambling digression aside, you're going to average about 3 scenes a session for like a 2.5 hour, 3.5 hour session. And it does average out about 3 hours as well. So that's obviously quite a tight budget, particularly for an actual play, where not only are you trying to get your players immediately invested, you're also trying to get viewers immediately invested. Obviously, if it's a private home game, or if you're writing material for private home games, you've got a bit more leeway. You can maybe have a slower start, do like the slow burn. Obviously, it depends entirely on the game as well, and player preference and your preference. But with the fact that this was for a Kickstarter, so it's time limited in that regard, it's promotional, so it's like, hey, look at the game. This is what the game lets you do. And as it was my player's first engagement with the Realms, in general, not just the game, but the setting, because it's everyone's first engagement with the Realms of Pugmire, because it's the second edition, but with the setting and the concepts behind the game. I should also point out we used an older version of the playtest rules. If you back to the Kickstarter, you'll have a different rule set, because we were using the 5e OGL version, and when Wizards happened to mess with that, Eddie quite rightly went in and removed all references to 5e mechanics and streamlined things and made it its own thing. So right off the bat, I kind of had to do something that would get my players invested and also get viewers invested, because in this instance, viewers were potential customers. Obviously, if you're not looking to monetize anything, you don't have to do it quite this way, but it's just always something to bear in mind. So conventional wisdom for learning how to play a new role-playing game and kind of get a grasp for the mechanics and to hook players and viewers is a fight scene. This is actually the first time in quite some time that I have actually run an intro game without a fight of any kind. There's no conflict. I went with a very traditional. You all know each other. We discussed why they know each other and stuff, but a very traditional, as you can see in the prologue, rundown of what's happened and what the players are doing. This was mostly because I wanted it to be kind of like a traditional fantasy story based in like using the tropes and themes of Pugmire as inspiration and source material of like often you're introduced. I'm thinking of like classic 1970s, 1980s fantasy here, where you're introduced to an adventuring party. They know each other already. This is the first book in the series. They know each other already, and they're kind of in a bit of downtime, and then something happens, and that's the call to action. And that was what I wanted to channel here. It's like a very traditional fantasy story. It just happens to be in a post-apocalyptic fantasy setting with talking animals. Not to say that that's all you can do with Pugmire. You can do many different things with Pugmire, but for this, I wanted it to be very much a hit all of the main touchstones that people are going to expect from a game of this nature, before doing the weird stuff in any subsequent actual plays, because that's how you get people hooked, and then you do the weird stuff. I realize I'm making checks I might not be able to, cash. There we go. So that was a very long-winded way of saying kind of general tips when you're doing limited run games or one-shots, which are, I suppose, like the most limited of limited run games. You want to be using that 3-scene budget to its maximum, and obviously if you're in a time-limited setting like a con or a stream, you also want to be... sorry, I'm waiting on emails. Kind of important emails. You also want to be roughly assigning a time limit to those scenes. So like if you've got a 3-hour session, 1 scene per hour. Obviously, sometimes it'll work out that 1 scene takes 20 minutes, and then you've got an extra 40 minutes to cover, but it is what it is. Sometimes the scene may take too long, and you have to collapse ideas from scene 2 into scene 3, or vice versa. Although you should probably try to go out in a climax so that people are like, yes, that game was good. But hey, I'm telling you how to do your job. I'm just providing advice. Keep the purpose of the game in mind when you're writing the adventure, and start as you mean to go on, really. As I say, usually you want to be starting with action for an action-focused role-playing game. Obviously, if it's a horror game, you can start with the horror. There's nothing wrong with that. You could be like, boom, horror, this is the thing you're dealing with, and right now you have no idea how to deal with it. Be very frightened. Or you can have that slow general creep of something is very wrong here, and then you lead into the investigation. For more on that, see the previous series of this show where I did an introductory adventure for Chronicles of Darkness. That is available on the Storyteller's Vault. It's called The Radford Estate, and there are no reviews, but I trust that it is entertaining in the least. But all of that is what I was trying to keep in mind while I was writing this adventure, and you'll notice pretty quickly that my scene outlines are just scene outlines. There's no definite information. There is a reason for this, including like combat encounters. Although, to be fair, those combat encounters did have full stats involved, but as this adventure was written for Realms of Pugmire and used as an outdated playtest, I deleted all of that information because you don't need that and I shouldn't show it. So I've just gone with archetype names there of heavies being, tougher enemies with lots of health that hit reasonably hard, and minions being weak enemies that hit averagely hard but only have 1 hit point or stamina point. And then, a leader being capable of going toe-to-toe with a party member and that kind of thing, rather than assigning CR or OL to it. So all of these scenes are just outlines. This kind of interstitial break in the show before I go back to whatever I end up calling a life on the road will mostly be me fleshing out these scene outlines with read aloud text to describe these locations, so that there's something more to it than just it's this area. And then also I'll flesh out the spoil area, because it's kind of that's an important part of the adventure, really, as well as the ball itself, which I never actually wrote. I just did the showdown because here's the thing about role-playing games, right? I'm going to hydrate before I drop a huge knowledge bomb on you all. Here's the thing about role-playing games. You can plan all you want. The players will do something to throw your plans out of the window. So I wrote all of this document before session 1. I didn't edit it between sessions until today, when I removed information that was no longer needed. I also kept a note of PC abilities and player name, player pronoun, character name, character pronoun, all of that stuff for quick reference for me right at the top of this document, so I saw it whenever I opened it. But I wrote all these scene outlines, and then I got to, the showdown, and I was like, there's several places this could happen, so I'm not going to write anything here. I will write something there for Canucks Minor, don't worry. It'll be a couple of location options based entirely on what the players do and how they decide to handle the problem. But no adventure is complete, particularly no adventure in kind of the style of the Real Housewives of Pugmire is complete without its scandal. And that's why I decided for Houndton. Houndton, for those who don't know, is a large, sprawling mining town that used to be called Hound Town, and it used to be a cluster of smaller towns, each owned by one of the various branches of the Hound family. The information that I had available to me did not specify which families this was, so I just went with random hounds. But it worked out quite well. So there was that. Anyway, so yeah, this is my cast. One of my weaknesses when I am running a game is naming characters on the fly. Slightly easier in Pugmire because you just use human names. But when I am writing something for myself to use, and again, this was originally not written for release for anyone to use. This was purely for my own benefit, to give the adventure some structure and to make sure it didn't overrun the time limit. The first thing I do is I make the cast. Oftentimes, it's all I'll do is just here is the cast, because it's impossible to plan for anything, for every eventuality. And as long as I have the characters there, that's all I need. A good case in point, actually, for being unable to plan for every eventuality is in the first session of the actual play. No spoilers, it's like right at the beginning. Before the characters even get to Houndton, I asked what they encountered on the road. And obviously, like, I knew roughly what the plot of the adventure was. I don't want to spoil anything in case you haven't seen the actual play. I highly recommend you go and watch the actual play before we continue on with this, because it's going to spoil everything like crazy. But I knew what the adventure was going to entail, so I guess, slight digression, I guess this is your one stream spoiler warning. Like, I'm not going to discuss spoilers here, but next stream probably will have to. End of digression. Because I knew what the adventure was going to entail, I was reasonably confident that I could foreshadow it based on anything the players chose. And so, like, they threw out the suggestion of a squirrel, straight from, Doug from Up. So there was a squirrel, and I couldn't have planned for that, but that was a brief encounter that I think lasted about 10 minutes IRL on stream, and did in fact foreshadow things. And then, like, that was, whatever. That's relatively easy to improvise. And I'm fully aware that a lot of this is going to sound like humble brag. I don't intend it that way. I'm trying to use it as like an example of what I'm saying. After that, one of the characters, Momo, well, the player, not the character, but the player said that they were looking for travelers along the road and stuff, and they were a merchant, and they stopped some merchants, and they had a conversation with some merchants that were leaving Houndton, and that entire scene was improvised. I hadn't planned for that because that was a player request, and you can't plan for player requests unless you are clairvoyant. Managed to blag my way through that, mostly by keeping the NPC count to 2, and that meant I only needed to come up with 2 names, and again, Pugmire is easier than a lot of other games because you just use human names, and I am a human, and I do know some human names. Just gonna hydrate. But if I had been called upon to run the adventure, like if I'd written the scene outline that you've glimpsed, if I had written that and nothing else, I would have panicked making all of these characters, because there are 5 houses, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 houses, sorry, in Houndton that I named anyway. Each of which I gave 5 characters. So I know my limits. I'm not comfortable improvising 30 characters straight off the cuff, just as needed. So I wrote myself a cast list. And then as I was going through it, I was like, I need the bull to die for. Like, I had that title, I had that joke title before the players said they wanted to run with the Real Housewives of Pugmire. So I knew that was... I was going to try to tie it in anyway, but I would have changed my plans based on what the players wanted. Don't worry, I'm not that kind of person. So I knew that there needed to be a titular ball, and obviously dogs like balls, and it's aristocracy. They like balls of a different kind. So why not just have both kinds of balls be involved? Which then became I would need a ball of some kind, and why would it be a ball to die for, and how is it important to the plot? So then it was like, hey, here's a relic that belongs to one of the hound families, and it just so happens to be a ball, and it's been stolen. I think that's as much spoilery as things are going to get for this stream. And I will be including full rules for the Ball of Heat in this when it's relevant. But one of the core concepts of the setting is that I guess some backstory. Explain Pugmire, because it's been a while. / people might not know what Pugmire is. Pugmire is a post-apocalyptic fantasy setting where it's thousands of years in the future. Humanity, has disappeared. There's no official reason given. It's entirely up to you as the GM what happened to us. But before humanity disappeared, it uplifted several species of animal. Pugmire is populated mostly with dogs. The monarchy's Mao is mostly cat country. And then there's badgers, although that also includes like mustelids and a couple of others. And there are the lizards and birds in various books. And they're all like bipedal, all speak a common language. There are non-uplifted versions of the... I'm forgetting mice and rats as well. Rodents, totally uplifted. There are non-uplifted versions, so you do get 4-legged dogs that are the right size for a dog, and 2-legged dogs that are roughly human-sized, but with variations to account for breed. Pugmire, as I mentioned, is the dog empire. It's mostly populated by dogs. There are other species within its borders, but it is mostly a land of dogs. And it is the Empire of Pugmire, ruled from the city of Pugmire. And there's a couple of other, like major towns. Houndton technically is part of the Empire. But to be a noble within the Empire, you need to possess a relic of man. And these are, could be anything. Incredibly advanced technology, toys, literally anything you can think of could be a relic. And as I say, it is possessing a relic that entitles you to the title, that allows you to be a noble. Side note, player characters typically are pioneers who are state-sanctioned adventurers that basically go looking for relics and deal with problems on an ad hoc basis. Pioneers are empowered to keep relics if they want to allow them to find other relics, or they can give them to their family and raise their family to nobility, or do other things with them. So that's why relics are important. If your family no longer has a relic, no longer allowed to be nobles. So I was like, if this adventure is about a relic, then I need to know what the other relics are. Not like mechanically at all, although I could stand them up, but I'm not going to. But I just needed to know what they were, because kind of, if you're rich people like showing off, and sure, their relics will be protected, but they're definitely going to be there, and the player characters, depending on what they do, might encounter them. So I had to come up with relics for all of them. I didn't, for the purposes of these notes, I provided what they actually are for people who do want to stat them up. So, for example, you can see here the Staff of Burning Light is a mining laser. The Fire Sealer is a welding torch. Sunmaker is a flash gun. The white box is just nanotech healing, it's a first aid kit. And Transylvanian Hounds have the Ball of Heat, which is an explosive. There's a... It was inspired by a nuclear device called like Devil's Core or something that was... Safety measures weren't followed, let's say, and it is responsible for some horrendous accidents. But it inspired the Ball of Heat. I can't remember its exact name off the top of my head for you to look it up. But then, come back to the concept that the players wanted to investigate. The Real Housewives of Pugmire. Obviously, that kind of implies scandal and secrets. So every family needed a secret at that point. So then I added a secret to every family. And this is all stuff that I could have improvised, but definitely benefits from being planned in advance. Just so that it fits better into the world around. I'm one of those GMs who doesn't plan all that much. I plan the bare minimum, and that allows me the flexibility that I prefer as a GM. I know that some people like very strict, organized plans, and if that works for you, that's entirely all right. Doesn't work for me, unfortunately. I very much, if it's written down, I have to follow it kind of person, even though that doesn't always make total sense, or even when that doesn't make total sense. So that's why everything is an outline rather than an actual, like, hey, this is a puzzle they'll encounter, and this is what this character will tell them. All very high-level stuff, which is also why it's going to be pay what you want and not expensive. Not that I charge much for anything I make, but because it is very bare bones, and some GMs will need to do a fair amount of work to make it something that they're happy to work from, I'm not going to charge for it. So that's kind of the background behind why I wrote what I have written in the cast section. And at the bottom of it, I do have the sole NPC in Pugmire, Molly the Red Setter, who is the player character's handler in the Pioneers, who gives them the plot hooks. Also, a note you'll notice throughout all of this, if you've been glancing at it while I've been talking and not staring at my face for whatever reason. One, these are ages. The book provides guidance on how long a dog will live on average, and like at 50, you're an old dog. Well, 40ish, you're an old dog. Will you add pre-gen character sheets for the cast? Probably not. I could ask the players if they're happy for me to, but I don't know. I might not. That's something I haven't really thought about yet. Sorry, my brain is weird. Because it's not really... I guess I could... Like, I wasn't really selling it as like a everything you need adventure. It's more just here are my show notes. But no, I could totally add pre-gens. Like, take some time, maybe on stream, to do some pre-gens if I can sort out a template. The problem, of course, being that all of the character information I have is in 2nd edition, is in Realms of Pugmire, like terms and layout. Although there is conversion material in the back of manuscript. So I could convert them backwards. Sorry. No one wants to hear me yawning on stream. It probably won't be the player characters. I just feel a bit weird doing that. I make my own characters for it. Or I guess what I could do is make just a bunch of pre-gens and bundle them, and like have those as a separate thing, and put them in a bundle with this. Maybe that's something I'll do. Because then it's just show notes if you want them, or show notes and characters if you need them as well. Anyway. Yeah, like 40, you're an old dog, and most dogs don't live past 50. So I provided the dog's age as like this is roughly where they are in their maturity, and then just their pronouns. you'll have if you do watch the actual play, I do specifically call out that Larissa's pronouns are she they, because I change between them, and I do try to put I do call out that it's an intentional change. It's not me misspeaking. Obviously, if you watch the actual play, you'll notice that they only met 3 of the characters in this area and no one else, apart from Molly, obviously. So all of this was, in fact, wasted prep. But it's not wasted. It gave me a comfort blanket and a cushion should I need it. Just going to hydrate again. I think that's all of the intro material we need. I'm going to delete this stuff though. This is all of this information is taken straight from Wikipedia, and it's simply a physical description of the dog breed, so that I knew I have to describe them when they were introduced. I thought I messed that up. Whoops. Probably should have gone from the top and scrolled down, if I'm being completely honest. But a note, I guess, for people who are unfamiliar with Pugmire, just because a dog has the name of a breed doesn't make them that breed. Breed names just become family names during the uplifting and disappearance of humanity. So you'll see, for example, Adam Afghan Hound. He married into the family. He was Adam Husky. He's a Husky, but he now has the name Afghan Hound. And then there are adopted children that will not necessarily match up with the sorry, neurodivergence and sleep deprivation. Wonderful combination of factors. Yeah, they won't again. They won't match up with the family name. They'll if they're adopted, there's every chance that they'll be a different breed. Although breed obviously breed plays less of a part in Realms of Pugmire, which is why I'm not really going into it all that much. And that's not really anything new. That's material that you can easily see in the back of manuscript if you backed the Kickstarter. I think that's everything. That's kind of necessary as an introduction to kind of why I wrote what I wrote, and then the information that is extant already. It's really messing my brain that I don't have to like write from scratch. There's already material there. So to save you all some time, because it's at the very beginning of the actual play, the general gist of the adventure, A Ball to Die For, is that one of the families in Houndton, the Transylvanian Hounds, is currently headed by an ex-pioneer who, Lachlan Transylvanian Hound, who wrote to his old adventuring friend, Molly the Red Setter, to tell her that the relic... Well, there you go, you can pre-order it on BackerKit. Sorry, who wrote to tell her that the relic that allows his family to claim a noble's title has been stolen. And that's it. 3 days ago, the relic disappeared, and he would like some discreet help to investigate the matter, potentially recover it. At the same time, the Lady Mayor of Houndton, the Mayor of Houndton is elected from among the Hound families, and kind of makes all the day-to-day political decisions for the town, but is technically subservient to the king. At the same time, the Lady Mayor has also contacted the city, requesting for some inquisitors to look into some disappearances among her populace, and Molly has been tasked with dealing with that. So there's 2 hooks, mostly because I wasn't sure which one the players would find more interesting, and I will do this a lot, and honestly, it's probably to the detriment of the game, particularly in limited run things. It is from experience, and this is like a very much a do what I say, not what I do kind of situation. From experience, you don't want to overwhelm your players with too much stuff, seemingly with too much stuff to do. I knew that both of these hooks would go to the same place, and obviously it's a common GM trick to have seemingly disparate things lead to the same place, so that the players do get choice and agency in the story, but the beats that you'd like them to encounter are still met, or things that you've planned for them to deal with or find still come up in game, and that's kind of how the collaborative to me, that's the collaborative nature of the game. Is like, I know not exactly where things are going, but I know roughly where things are going, but it's up to the players how they get there, and I will use their choices to foreshadow, to flesh out, or, if what you thought was going to happen is no longer relevant or applicable, something else happens. It's not set in stone. It's more of a rough idea of what's likely going to happen, and for it's like a consequence of the narrative, not so much the player actions, although they will obviously alter the narrative, but there's definitely a fine line between not having that plan and having the barest hint of a plan. And I try to err for the barest hint of a plan, purely because when I don't have a plan, I feel like it's very noticeable. And you'll notice, if you've been around for any of the past 68 episodes of the show, I don't know how to end things properly if it's not planned out for me. Like, I never really know how to end a stream. So I have the endpoint in mind. And it's not always like an immediate endpoint. Sometimes, for certainly like long form storytelling, it's like this is going to come up sometime within the next few levels, and I'm just here along for the ride, and it'll arise when it would seem to make sense for it to arise. And then you play things out, things happen, things get in the way, things get moved around, and as I say, it's not always relevant or applicable anymore. You just move it, shelve it, reskin it, whatever you need to do to it to make it fit later, or just throw it out. Don't be afraid to kill your darlings is good writing advice for fiction and role-playing stories, campaigns, adventures. There we go. So that's why I gave them 2 plot hooks. And again, if I were to do this again, I probably wouldn't. I'd only give them the 1. But as I said, I wasn't entirely sure which they'd be more interested in, and I wasn't sure which way how the party would try to investigate either. So the first hook, Lachlan's problem. The Transylvanian hounds are down and out. They're running out of money. They aren't terribly well respected. They don't live in their ancestral home anymore, so they don't have much sway with the other hound families. So if the players go there, look into it, and then decide to look into the other hound families as suspects, then they would have a slightly weaker position to start with. So my thinking was, if they wanted to do that, they needed a backup. They needed some way of getting an in with the aristocrats, because traditionally the aristocracy close ranks and look down upon people who they don't view as being their equals. The Lucent Archangel. No doubt someone will get there before I type the chat out, but thank you for the raid. I think that's that. Thank you for the raid. Welcome in. I'm doing some GM tips discussion about a recent actual play that I ran on the channel. A lot of the shows here do take place in the evening Eastern time, so if you are in that time zone, this is very much an outlier. It only happens once every 2 weeks, and it's in the morning. If you're in a different time zone, it's still an outlier. It only happens every 2 weeks, but it might be at a better time for you. I don't know. But yeah, I'm doing some GM tips. Most of the other shows on the channel are usually actual plays, but for instance, 5 p.m. Eastern today, Plastic Age Plays in chat. We'll be discussing how you can set up events on the Start Playing Games website to perhaps meet players that you don't usually play with, or in other countries. And then also on Mondays, there's a true story. I know it's going to be a Finn time. I have it on good authority. On Mondays, there's like a how to play show, introducing Onyx Path Publishing's various game lines and how to play them. So there is a variety of shows. This one is very much focused on community content, how to write it, general GM tips, that kind of thing. So if you like that kind of material, feel free to stick around. Obviously, the Onyx Path would like a follow, but you don't need to give it. We vibe pretty relaxed here, pretty chill, and we can't make people do things they don't want to do. Where was I? Yes. So as I was saying, so that second plot hook, the disappearances. Well, it does seem like a lot. Like on the one hand, they've got to deal with the theft. On the other hand, they've got to deal with missing citizenry. That was clumsily intended to be if they do want to investigate the aristocracy, this is a way that they can get on their good side. Because while they might not like each other, they do respect the mayor, who is a member of one of the noble families. And so it's like if they investigate these disappearances, which are tied in with the theft of the relic, obviously, but if they investigate these disappearances, then the mayor will put in a good word and arrange for introductions to the other families, and then they'll get meetings with the other families that would be perhaps more informative and useful than simply being introduced by the Transylvanian hounds, who are definitely pitied and looked down upon. Oh, also, I mean, I know I said this at the start, but it bears repeating. None of this is canon. This is not how Houndton is canonically. This just made sense of my story. And until there is a canon breakdown of Houndton, this is what I'm using for my games. And even then, if it's not an Onyx Path Publishing actual play, I might still use this as canon for my games because it's just easy to remember. But as I say, if I were to do this again, if I were to run this adventure again, I would probably simplify this to not be disappearances. So while I've been talking, I've been trying to think of an alternative because I have the chance to fix this right now. I can't think of anything, but what I will do, because I do very much want this to be like a show notes kind of thing. If I do like a tip, like side bar, maybe it'd be like, hey, if you want things to be simpler, or are concerned that your players will be overwhelmed by the 2 hooks available. So that I can't type to them. Feel free to remove one or nope. simplify the... I hate typing at an angle. Lady Mayor's book to the following. So disappearances is kind of a kind of a heavy, involved investigation. Let's go with no lie, a tabletop based on 12 Monkeys would be nice, but how do you do dice rolls across time frames? Well, okay, digression here. It's not like exactly simultaneous, but there is a, if you haven't heard of the Onyx Path game line, Trinity Continuum. Trinity Continuum is a continuum. The game lines are each of like the core setting books takes place in a different time period along the continuum. The earliest time that's been announced is Aegis, with like Bronze Age stuff. Then there's Ether, which is 19th century, steampunky Victorian, Magitech. The core rulebook is modern day. Slight sci-fi kind of cinema blockbuster flavoring. And then Aberrant is near future. And then Anima is further future. And then Aeon is like far future. I think that's the right order. It's been a while since I looked at the Continuum timeline. But there are definitely people within the Onyx Path community who run interlinked games of Trinity Continuum across the various game books. So you can do such a thing. That's the right order? Yes. I am a big brain. Oh, 12 Monks is literal time travel. That'll be challenging. Oh yeah, it would definitely be challenging. You could do it maybe as like not a simultaneous thing, but if you kept either decent enough notes, you could alternate between time periods per session. Or per scene, I suppose. There are time travel rules in the recently crowdfunded Trinity Continuum Player's Guide. Well, there we go. That's I wasn't able to back it, so I was unaware of that. But there we go. There are time travel rules in that book for your very perusal. I believe that'll be doing late pledges soon, TM, but I don't know when, obviously, because I'm not an official representative of the company. I believe the player's guide also covers like wormholes and Stargate style play, and micro worlds, that style of thing. Anyway, with the ball happening soon, the Lady Mayor wants an outside body to check Hampton for any security concerns. Oh, let's just say to check for any security concerns. In the venue and surrounding it. Also, the use of dramatic editing in Trinity Core can do a very good job of representing time travel. Essentially, you spend a resource to alter the scene. There can be a good mechanism to represent time travel. Oh, you know, I hadn't thought of it that way. I was still stuck in the talents are just extremely lucky. But no, that is a very interesting way of using dramatic editing. I like it. Yeah, you can do a similar thing with Fortune in Pugmire. I do like how flexible Fortune is. I guess technically you could do something similar with Momentum as well in Zion. You're going to have... I mean, if you're involving gods, why not involve time travel? Now I'm getting distracted. I'm like, now I want to do a time purview. And just do the two boons that would accompany a time purview. I'm getting distracted. That is not the purpose of the show. Also, that would take like, I don't know, an hour, and I would feel awful justifying charging for that, but it's there. With the ball happening soon, the Lady Mayor wants an outside body to check for security concerns in the venue and surrounding areas. That's why there isn't the Supernatural tabletop. There is. There is a Supernatural tabletop RPG, I believe. I myself have just used Chronicles of Darkness to run a Supernatural game, but I was going to look something. Oh, right, that's what I was doing. I was indenting. Put it in the future episode bin. Yeah, I'm just going to do my own series of tasty bits. Dramatic editing is time travel. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure as an RPG session. That is fair knife crazy. There we go. So, oh right. I guess I should address the fact that I write in dark mode. I write in dark mode. That's why it's not black text on my background. I realized that I think the last time I did this was before I made the swap. It's just way easier on my eyes. There's an official, though discontinued Supernatural RPG. Hunter the Vigil also does a good job of presenting a similar world. It does. I mean, I just use base Blue Book, but yeah, Hunter would work as well if you want to do kind of like larger scale hunting stuff. No, I have terrible ideas to blame you, chat. Knife Crazy, you are a member of the chat. You can blame yourself. It's okay. We support you, making your terrible ideas come to life. Anyway, slight digression, about doing my own tasty bits. I would obviously fill them with Easter eggs, but gosh dang it, if someone who shall remain nameless, but is a master at shitposting, has not already crammed Remedy Entertainment Easter eggs into the Trinity Continuum via a tasty bit. Anyway, I'm still miffed that I wasn't able to get there first. So I think that's just a tip. Actually, you know what? I'm going to rephrase this. Were I to run this again, I would remove one of these hooks. How can we help bring ideas? Or you just chill here? Yeah, a concept of success. You just chill here. Sometimes I'll be obviously stuck, and so I'll bounce off of chat. But this is just this show is like what I'm working on in the background is very much just something for me to talk about when there's nothing else to talk about. This is very much more of a just chatting stream than an actual RPG stream, so to speak. But obviously, it's highly focused towards tabletop RPGs. Which is why we use the category. Just because, you know, it's a niche topic, so I don't anticipate there'll ever be a super busy chat to keep things flowing constantly. Oh, you're right. I probably should. So that's the gist of the show. Anyway, were to run this again out with the following. While my original idea worked fine, I just felt like they had to address both problems, even though they ultimately didn't. You know what? Even though the plot hooks are actually linked, related, let's say. So, yeah, kind of like what I'm talking about on stream, but for people who don't watch these shows because they have better things to do with their time, I guess, than listen to me talk. And obviously, if you need to head out at any point, feel free to do so. I don't take things personally. I'm aware that life happens that doesn't revolve around me. You know what? If I'm doing this kind of like reflective thinking and treating this as show notes, so that's like a tip. I don't know what to phrase this as. Like just like reflection. And this will be a sidebar as well. While I would normally open a limited series and slash or AP, you know what? Let's actual play and then AP in this text. Actual play with an exciting scene, usually involving conflict of some kind, usually involving low stakes conflict. To introduce, apologies about the key typing noise. Potential threads? No, it's more kind of why the scene is the way it is. For those who are just joining us, I ran an actual play on this Twitch channel to promote the Realms of Pugmire Kickstarter that happened a couple of months ago. And I wasn't going to do anything with the notes, but a member of the Onyx Path community at the Discord server that Nightbot linked to very recently asked if the notes existed anywhere. So these will be available once I've finished like my commentary on commentary. That's the word I'm looking for. I'm a moron. Why does anyone watch the show? Why does anyone buy my stuff? Why does anyone hire me? Commentary is the right word. Admittedly, I have written a lot over the past few weeks, averaging about 2,000 words a day, so my brain is mush on top of all of the real life issues that are currently plaguing me. Some of mine making, I will admit. To introduce the players to the game, to the system and to the setting and the system. So this is what I mentioned earlier, I'm just typing it out. Players/viewers to the setting and to introduce the players/viewers to the setting and the system. Here I opted for a more traditional opening to call back to the tropes of the inspirational material as a way of evoking the archetypal experience. My gosh, I've become the person who writes the phrase a way of evoking the the tropes of the inspirational material as a way of evoking the archetypal experience. I feel soiled on the inside. However, I think that's fine. And then some read aloud text to describe Molly's office. Actually, to be fair, before I do that, this is also a good way of asking the players how they know each other and quest giver to establish history without having to play through it. And then now is the read aloud text, which I'll just italicize. Nope, because that's an accessibility thing. I will put it in a huge chunk of speech marks, and it'll be indented in the final material as well. But I think copying from Word to Affinity Publisher doesn't always keep the formatting. and I've spent too long fixing formatting issues in Publisher before, so I'm not going to make that mistake again. Like all of these headings won't import properly. I'm going to have to go through and change them. Molly's office is a small with a wooden floor, a single set of shelves, and a rug, almost entirely covered by a desk. A painting of Molly's old Pioneers unit hangs above the desk. Hangs above the fireplace. Desk itself is tidy with a pile of papers and a broken masterwork on the left hand side. This, I don't know who has not seen the actual play, Molly only has one eye, so everything on her desk is on the side that she can see. Molly has assembled let's say an eclectic assortment of chairs. For you to use, and stands with her back to you. Clearly lost in thought. Staring at the portrait. Okay, then there's the information, and information is the information that the player characters will learn through the course of the scene. And all of this stuff will be broken down in the introduction. I'll explain the different sections of the scene outlines, so don't worry about that now. And then obviously tip is my advice based on how the scene ran in practice, and what I would change about it if I did it again. Who is shown in the portrait above the fireplace, along with Larissa Spitz. I can't remember the names I gave to the adventuring party, so I'm just going to do like X, 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 and hopefully that will remind me to rewatch the actual play and make a note of the names. That's all that. Molly knows that Lachlan hired Larissa as his what's the title? Transylvanian Hound. Estate manager, there we go. I was like, housekeeper's not the right word. As his estate manager and is script and financial. And obviously, if your players want to invent the concept of relic insurance, that's entirely on them. Let's say, and his financial struggles. I mean, he is unwilling to seek help from within hand. Because they'll report to all of the nobles. You know what? Let's spell that out. As most of the I don't think watch is the right word, but I'll put it in and question mark it. Hampton Watch will likely report anything interesting. Their noble patrons. There we go. Just a little bit of extra information to help people, or more just writing down what I had in my head when I was doing this, when I was running through the scene, to make the adventure flow smoothly, rather than just here is a tiny bit. Here is just a plot hook, and another plot hook. Go. But I think that's good. I also think that I'm probably going to limit this to just the prologue for today because I'm tired and I need to do my outro stuff. Before I go into my outro, I don't have any questions about anything that we've covered today, or Onyx Path game lines, any of that information that I can help you with. I'm going to save. I realize I haven't saved the entire stream. I'm going to hydrate. And also, of course, if there is anything you would like to see in show notes, I'm not in the habit of running actual plays. I've run a few, but if there is anything that would be of benefit to you running the adventure from the actual play, whether it's like I've done here with intention of a scene and how I felt the scene went in practice, or just other things, obviously let me know. Actually, you know what? While I'm talking about it, I mentioned the Onyx Path Discord server. That's a great place to. That's a great resource for questions or feedback for Onyx Path products. And the server has loads of channels, one for each game line, often one for each book within the game line. Well, not one for each book, but like release. So I know what I'm trying to say. Anyway, like there's one for Trinity Continuum Core, one for Trinity Continuum Aberrant, etc., etc. It's a great resource. If you have any feedback about, as I say, about what you'd like to see in show notes, and I'm going to ask that question in the Discord server as well. But if you have anything you would like to see in show notes, you can reach me on Twitter at Comrade Bubbles for as long as Twitter is a thing. Regrettably, it's still a great networking resource for freelance writers and content creators. So it's interesting watching it go down in real time. But yeah, I'm there as at Comrade Bubbles. I do stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/Comrade Bubbles. I think you can click the tag in the title. It should take you there. I ordinarily would be streaming after this, but I have actually some writing to do for Onyx Path, so I'm not going to be. I'm going to be. I have a restricted streaming schedule right now to make sure that I hit my deadlines. But I'll be streaming on Thursday and Friday, about the same time as this stream started. You sure can? Wonderful. I was like, Twitch can't have done something useful for once. They wouldn't have helped the streamers out, would they? But apparently they have. So if you do have feedback, questions, all of that, you can reach me on those on Twitch and Discord and Twitter. As shocked as you are. Yeah. I like kind of one of those things, like as a viewer, it makes next to no difference. Beyond obviously if you want to support people. But as a streamer, it's like, my gosh, they've made it easier for people to find us just with a click. Wow. Doesn't happen that often, take it from me. Yeah, so I'm going to go through the Monday meeting notes in a much sped up fashion now. But if you have enjoyed what you've seen here, obviously please do follow the Twitch channel. If you are not subscribed to the Twitch channel and you want to rewatch it or watch anything you've missed, regrettably, you'll have to wait a week, at which point it will be live on Twitch for the public, and also I upload it to my YouTube channel into a playlist, and I'm Comrade Bubbles on YouTube as well. where you can see all of the past episodes of the show with all of the, I'm going to say, mostly commonsensical tips and advice and stuff. But occasionally, I'd like to think there's a gem of wisdom somewhere buried amid the detritus. But obviously, you don't have that problem if you subscribe to Onyx Path's Twitch, to the Twitch channel. And if you are watching this on YouTube and you would like to subscribe, the link for the Twitch channel is in the video description. You also obviously get emotes and access to, I believe, still access to a subscriber-only Discord channel on the fan Discord, community Discord. Sorry, official community Discord. There we go. I'm gone, chat. I'm gone. If you have an Amazon Prime account and you were unaware or have simply forgotten, you can link your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account to gain a Prime Gaming account. Now, on top of getting sweet free loot for games, often League of Legends, Fall Guys, things of that nature, it also comes with one free subscription a month. And you can use that subscription anywhere. It doesn't auto-renew, so you will have to remember to renew it, or, you know, keep track of it however, for whatever purpose you want to use it for. But it functions exactly the same as a standard tier 1 subscription does for any other channel, or for any channel on Twitch. For you and for the channel, so the channel gets the same money that they would get, you get the same benefits that you would get. No one misses out. It's just accounted for in the cost of your Amazon Prime subscription. However, all that aside, if you're not interested in my material, but you are interested in the more like recapping material that I do, because it gives me something to talk about. It informs you as an audience about Onyx Path, and also just, you know, not everyone has time to read a web page, but you might have time to stick me on the background while I read the page for you. But the full breakdown is, as ever, at the start of the episode. But here is your much abridged breakdown. We have got a recurring conversation in the comment section of the Monday meeting notes, discussing what the community would like to see if Onyx Path were to make an urban dark fantasy horror game. You may think they already do that with Chronicles of Darkness. That is a license. Paradox own that. So this is a hypothetical. What if they made their own game that they owned? That's quite popular in the comments of the Monday meeting notes. Other things to note: we've mentioned the Trinity Continuum Player's Guide that finished last week. The next crowdfunded campaign will theoretically be on Kickstarter in May, as they came from ... Again, we've been assured that it is not going to be. That is not the book's title. They're not pulling another They Came From classified, but it is an unusual. It is claimed to be an unusual Kickstarter, so the title may be different. Although there is mention of art design for Wild West PCs, so who knows? This week is the GAMA trade show. Indie Press Revolution Studio 2, who are responsible for the physical versions of Onyx Path books that are not bought through DriveThruRPG. They have stalls with physical books and the Storypath Ultra brochure. So if you're interested in picking anything up physically and you are able to get to the trade show, that's where you can do such a thing. This Friday is the Onyx Path Friday night game night. It is the last Friday of every month, and this month it is dedicated to They Came. There's a typo in the Monday meeting notes. It is dedicated to the They Came From series. And if you are interested in that, swing by startplaying.games and there's an event listing with all the games that are signed up to that event. A lot of them will likely be paid because Start Playing allows you to charge for games. Again, I know people have thoughts on that. But if you're interested in the process, Plastic Age Players in chat right now will be back at 5 PM Eastern talking to Devon from Start Playing and about how to set up a game for that very event. So you could maybe join in next month's maybe make some money on the side. Also, if you are interested in running games for the virtual convention, because that has been announced, June 16th to 18th this year, they typically are typically organised through Start Playing as well. And if you're not sick of Start Playing, absolutely will, should be fun. I'm sure it will be. If you're not sick of Start Playing or Devon by that point, on Friday, the Pathcast has an interview with Devon as well. If you are a content creator who specializes in short videos, like TikTok, YouTube Shorts, etc., if you tag the video with, hang on, I'll get the right words, with Onyx Path, all one word, and the name of the game that you are showing off, for any reason, parody, instructional, cosplay, etc., and fill in that form, before the 30th of April, you will be entered into a competition to win $150 worth of Onyx Path books, which is a pretty dang good deal, if I do say so myself. I mean, I can say so myself. I am not personally involved in it. I'm not a short video creator. So there we go. Moving on. There's also a link to a fundraiser that will be active May 4th to 5th by the Badana Group that Onyx Path work with quite a bit. I have mentioned already the Start Playing game night setup today. Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Hunt of the Vigil, Cinder and Soot. Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern, Mummy the Curse, Oceans of Eternity. And then Monday at 5 p.m. Eastern, They Came From Beneath the Sea, The Beginner's Guide, are all the shows on the channel this week. That will all be in the promotional post roll that will run once I am done talking. Media highlight of the week is a video looking at Succubi in regards to like Silent the role-playing game, and on sale on Wednesday, Don't Open the Gates, a tasty bit for They Came From Beyond the Grave by Kim Godwin, who is, I'll say it, she's a pretty good freelance writer for Onyx Path. She's done some good stuff, and that'll be available on Wednesday on DriveThruRPG. And then yeah, you know what? Let's go through the releases, project development status pretty quickly as ever. If you want to know where something is, the best place is the release roundup that is released at the end of each month, and then the Monday meeting notes has all of the new stuff that's on its way. So Red Lines, Trinity Continuum Ether, Player's Guide, and They Came From the Cyclops' Cave. They came from Don't Open the Gates, but I'm always opening the gates. This could be awkward. Well, I mean, if you want to deal with zombies in a graveyard, go ahead. I can't stop you. Yes, Trinity Continuum Ether, The Player's Guide, and They Came From the Cyclops' Cave. They came from Witchford Academy, both in Red Lines. Witchford Academy was announced recently, and it's a magic school supplement for They Came From the Cyclops' Cave. Hopefully, you know, it's good. I have full faith in the team that it will be. In editing is They Came the unannounced. It's kind of like the unannounced They Came From game, or announced game. Sorry. Also, Exalted 3rd Edition, 8 Directions, Cyclops Cave Classified, Once and Future, and Assassin's Virtual Tabletop Adventure are all in that direction. In layout, Tome of the Pentacle, Crucible of Legends, House of the Apocalypse, Tending the Flame. In proofing, Apocalyptic Record. In indexing, Exalted Essence. And at press, Trinity Continuum Adventure, May 20th, Victorian Age and Screen. Cyan Dragon, Book and Screen. Cyan Masks of the Mythos, Book and Screen. Sauropath Ultra Brochure, They Came From Tasty Bit Compilation, Exalted 3rd Edition, Surface Truth, Scarred Lands Vigil Watch, Kelder Mountains, which is a pretty dang good supplement, Trinity Continuum Stampede of Justice, and Adventure, Jumpstart, and the aforementioned Tasty Bit. And that is all available at the link that I shared earlier for the Monday meeting notes. I think that about covers everything I wanted to cover. I'll theoretically be back in 2 weeks' time. Life keeps throwing curveballs at me, and I do keep having, I guess, humble brag, I do keep getting asked to do more writing, which is great for me, like, a career-wise, but it also obviously takes time out of being able to stream this material and do other stuff. You should be proud, Plastic Age Plays. Everyone involved should be proud of how Kelder Mountains turned out. It's fantastic. I've only glanced through it. I haven't read it in detail, but I was impressed. But theoretically, I'll be back on the 9th of May at 9 a.m. Eastern with more of this, more talking about how I felt this actual play went. That's what I was going to share. That was the link I was going to share. I highly recommend, because I've tried to stay away from spoilers in this stream, but if you are interested in watching more of these episodes, or watching stuff after the fact on YouTube, highly recommend following that YouTube link that I just shared in chat, and watching the entire actual play. It's not terribly long. It's only about 10 hours long. There's a session 0, session 1, 2, 3, and then an epilogue session where just kind of wrap things up and discussed how we felt the game went as a table, air quotes table. Mostly because I think it's really important to show both the session 0 and then like a reflection at the end after the game. But as I said, I've been trying to stay away from spoilers in this stream, but going forwards there will be full spoilers because I'll be discussing how the show went, and I'll be adding scenes that were in the show that need to be in my show notes for them to make any sense. So here be spoilers, I guess. You've reached the edge of the map. That's your homework if you want some. If you don't want some and you don't mind spoilers for an actual play you'll likely never play, or an adventure you'll likely never purchase, that's fine. You do you. These show notes will be going on Canvas Minor, on the Onyx Path Publishing's community content platform for Realms of Pugmire material, which is hosted on DriveThruRPG. I think it covers everything. As ever, if you're watching this on YouTube after the fact, I try to include all of the relevant links in the video description, and I'll try to include the actual play playlist in the video description as well. But YouTube will be watching this at least a week after the fact, so there we are. But all that remains is for me to say thank you for being here. Thank you for watching the show. Hopefully it's been interesting, entertaining, thought-provoking. Hopefully it has allowed you to potentially look at writing material in a new light. If you take one thing away from that, I hope it's just that my rule of thumb for role-playing games is you're going to get through a maximum of 3 scenes per 3-hour-ish session, and plan your time accordingly. Obviously, if you have longer session, you get through roughly 1 scene per hour, let's say. So if you are looking into running limited series games, if you're looking into running actual plays that have a defined length, if you're interested in running a con game for Onyx Path Virtual Con in June, expect 1 scene per hour and get used to it. It can sometimes be a little constraining, but unless you can magically add more time to the day, there's certain things you can't get away from. Right, well, I'll hopefully see you all in 2 weeks' time. Please do stay safe, please do stay healthy, please do stay wholesome. If you are offered a COVID booster, please do take it. Medically vulnerable people like myself, we appreciate it. Yeah, that's it. See you all in 2 weeks. Thank you for being a great audience, and I will let the post roll a couple of times so that you can see what else is coming up on this channel. And then if you have any questions, now is your absolute last chance to ask them, and then I'll be changing the stream title to Plastic Cage Play Show later if he doesn't get there first. Goodbye.